Welcome back to the Business Exchange, the show where we dive into the ideas, peoples, and innovations shaping industry and redefining the future. I'm your host, Joseph. Today I'm joined by Patrick Jacobs from Shamrock Property Maintenance, a family owned business that's seen delivering dependable property maintenance, repair, and rehabilitation services since 2006. Shamrock supports homeowners, landlords, and property managers across major metropolitan markets in the U.S., helping keep properties safe, functional, and ready for what's next. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Joseph. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, you're quite welcome. All right, take us back to the early days. How did Shamrock Property get started?
In 2004, I had a major back injury while I was working for someone else, and discovered that as long as I was walking and doing like yard work and stuff like that, I didn't have any problems with my back. But if I was sitting for long periods of time, it was absolutely horrible. So decided to start a part-time lawn care business, which I had done when I was much younger at 18 years old, and I wound up selling it after a couple of years to a competitor. But I was like, I'm going to start this and see what I can do with it. So started started that portion of it, and it metamorphosized into doing REO and property preservation services for the foreclosure industry. Oh, excuse me, sneeze. Didn't mean to do that. Apologize. So anyway, we started doing grass cuts and things like that in the foreclosure, REO, and property preservation world, redemption world. And then it just started to metamorphosize even more. We started growing into other areas, into other markets, into other states, doing that type of work. And then in 2017, we completely 100% started to just focus on maintenance services.
Oh, excellent. Good. So what gap did you see in the property maintenance market that others weren't addressing?
Well, you had a major changeover, and a lot of folks don't understand the impact of this. President Trump just recently let some things out about this, but I'm going to have to rewind just a little bit and kind of give you a little bit better of a history lesson on us. So 2007, you really seen a ramp up in the foreclosure industry. It was just like, I mean, it went from some growth to automatically just spiking and almost going straight up. There was so much blight. There were so many problems in communities across the country. Well, the problem is that you couldn't get a loan on a property during that time period. From basically really 2007 up until 2012, banks were holding money close to the vest. They were not issuing a lot of mortgages. So there was such an influx of foreclosures and blight throughout the country that the federal government finally came in, and Congress, it's called the Frank-Dodd Act. They formed the Frank-Dodd Act to allow investors to be able to purchase the homes and immediately rent them. Because prior to that, if you were to buy a loan from Fannie Mae or HUD, you had to hold that property for at least 2 years before you could turn it into an investment property where you could start to rent it. So it was a slow process.
Right.
You know, you had smaller investors, they would buy a property and they might live in it, and then the house that they were living in becomes a rental, and it was a process that they went through. Well, this opened up the floodgates to allow institutional investors to purchase these homes and to start doing single family rental. That's when the SFR part of the industry was born. About 5 years goes by during that time period. We're talking like 2011, 2012, the industry is born, Joseph. Then what happens is now you see a transition that comes around 2020. where these companies are tired of paying the HOA fees, so they decided to do build to rent, BTR. And what that is where they go in and buy up their own properties, build 400 or 200 or 100 spec homes that are cookie cutter the same. They might have a community center with a pool and things like that, but they go in and do that. So where was the need? The question that you asked me, and I gave you a lot of back history. What I knew is that the SFR industry was skyrocketing. The big institutional guys right now that own properties, there's 5 of those larger companies. They have about 500,000 single-family rental homes in about 22 cities that those 5 companies cover.
Right.
Then you have all of your small property management companies that are out there as well. We service both. We've seen that large, and we were already doing maintenance services anyway, or during, even though we were working on foreclosed properties, we were doing a lot of that. So it was an easy transition for us. But we knew that there was a huge market there for it.
Nice. So, being a family-owned business, how has that shaped your approach to trust, integrity, and client relationships?
I firmly believe that everything in our life revolves around a relationship, Joseph.
Yeah.
We can't be successful in anything we do unless we have good, solid relationships. Okay? I'll just use an example. The show Cheers, you and I are both old enough to remember that. Maybe some of the other people on here won't. But even a restaurant, or when you go into your favorite coffee house and they remember you and they know your name, you formed a relationship with those folks. You continue to go back there because of how they made you feel. People really don't care what you give to them or what you provide to them, but how you made them feel while you were doing that sticks with them forever. Yeah. So once you get a good feeling from somebody and things like that, but a family-owned operation like ours, we really take pride in the relationships that we build and the solutions that we come to our clients with. Because at the end of the day, that's what they're hiring us for. They're hiring us to be a solution. Anybody in the service industry, anybody that's hired you to do something, they're hiring you because you're an expert, or at least say you are, right? And they hope that they're hiring an expert, and they are looking for you to bring them a solution to their problem. So through our culture that we have built here, providing a good service with good solutions, and if something goes wrong, acting quickly to fix it. That's how we've gotten to the point that we're at.
Oh, that's excellent. And so true about the relationship. So true. All right. As you expanded into major metro areas, what was the biggest operational challenges?
Anybody that's looking at expanding into other markets outside of their home market, and I consider a home market usually about a 30-mile radius. You know, even in a large metropolitan city, I would say that's fairly accurate, right? Well, you take your 30-mile radius and you think, you know, there's a lot to manage there. Well, now when you start to bring in other cities, because here's the issues that you run into state by state, county by county, city by city, is you can get your state licensing and everything's cool. You think you're ready to rock and roll. Then you go into a city and you find out that that county also has a license that they want you to pay for. And then that city has a license that you need to pay for. And then now we got to pull the permits. But now we're not only, is that in the city or is that in the county or is it in both?
Yeah.
Oh, now we've got to, that's in our jurisdiction and that jurisdiction, you're pulling multiple permits. Those are big challenges. They are. Here is where what we have done is, and what we're currently doing, and if you are a contractor that's out there that's looking to expand your business, here's something for you. What we have done is we've partnered with good contractors that have the licensing that's needed in those areas. We govern over it like a GC. We use these folks as our subs, and we bring those in. They know their local laws, their local permits that need to be pulled, all of that, and we hold them ultimately responsible for that.
Right. No, that makes sense. What's harder today, finding skilled labor or managing growing client expectations?
Good question. Client expectations, I believe, is the easiest thing for a business to be able to meet. Here's why: because normally they're clear and defined. If it's not a clear and defined from your clients on what the expectation level is, and then you're trying to set that and they're wavering a little bit, that's not a good client, probably not somebody you want to work for, just being real. But setting that level of expectation is huge. Now, there are challenges that come up with that. What was your second part to that question? There was the
That was skilled labor or
the skilled labor.
Yeah.
Yes. Hands down, the most difficult thing for us to track down is skilled labor. And what's really cool in our small town of Paris, Tennessee here, we're kind of like Midwest Tennessee. We're right off Kentucky Lake in Henry County. A $25 million investment's been made here in our county with it's called the Tennessee College of Applied Technologies. That's where you could become a nurse, you could become an HVAC technician, you could become a maintenance person, you could be a welder, you could work on cars. It's a tech school, right? And I love to see the amount of time and effort that's being poured into this, because in our country, just like Mike Rowe has mentioned many, many times, is that the amount of skilled labor jobs that we have out there right now, you don't have enough people to fill them. And what happens is that actually causes the amount for that service to go up, because you have less service techs to do the work. So you have the dollar amount for us to do the repair for you goes up, right? Well, that's all fine, well, and good until it's just priced completely out of realm for anybody to even be able to pay. So I will say this to young people that are out there too. I don't think you really realize how much is being left on the table, right? You have a college education, you went to school, whatever, you paid all this money, and then you come out and you may not have a guaranteed job. If you go into the trades and become an HVAC technician, become a welder, I can list out hundreds of them, a handyman, a good handyman, jack of all trades type of a guy coming out of a trade school, you're talking making $30 to $35 plus an hour, up to $50. I mean, you're talking a possible six-figure income, but I'm talking about coming out of school and making $25 an hour or more. And if you're union, it's forget about it. It's a completely different situation. But a huge need. That is the biggest struggle for us as a company, is finding qualified folks to do the work.
Yeah. And just a quick mention, there was an article on LinkedIn with Ford Motor Company. They have thousands of mechanic positions open, and they're having a hard time filling it. And they've put the wages up to over $100K. So, yeah, the trades is, if I had to do it all over too, I'd go into the trades 100%. All right, so where do most property maintenance companies struggle when they try to scale?
Going too fast, want to be too big too fast.
Yeah.
You jump into it and you're like, I can do that. It's there was a time period for us to where we said yes too much. Yes, we could do this. Yes, we could do that. I wanted to be the ultimate solution for my client, and at the same time, I was failing my client.
Yeah. Okay. What's currently the most frustrating bottleneck in your day-to-day operations?
I'm sure there's a lot of people that struggle with this. I'll just be completely transparent. It's cash flow. I think that every business, especially service-oriented businesses, dealing with day-to-day cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always a
100%.
tough one.
Always a tough one. Operationally would be this is communication.
Right.
Communication between, because we have a lot of moving parts. Any good maintenance company, you have the company, the technician, and the customer. Is the customer a direct customer? Do they own the property? Are they a tenant? So on, right? So you have several lines of communication that have to be met there. And I would say that where most companies are not successful is if the office and the customer and the technician that's doing the work are not all on the same page.
Right. Right. That makes sense. So how do you? No, 1 second. Yeah. How do you think about pricing in a market where cost sensitivity is high?
Well, price and cost in anything that you do is always the number one variable, right? So what we have done is spoken to our customers, look at it, see if it's something that we can execute and do to where there's still profitability for us, for our technicians or our contractors that work for us in those markets, right? I will tell you that in the homeowner side of the world, where it's just Joseph calls me up or John calls me up and says, hey, I've got a water problem in my house. When we go out, we discuss it with you. It's a one-time transaction. We might only be to that house that one time. Whereas with our other customers that are in the SFR world, we're doing hundreds and hundreds of work orders for them a month. There's a discount because of the volume that they're able to bring. It's a tightrope act. I will say that margin is more important than price. I challenge business owners to look at the margin. Don't focus on individual line items. I also teach and educate our contractors that work for us that if you're looking at, if I give you a scope and it's got 5 different jobs on that scope or 5 different tasks on that scope, and 4 of them are home runs and 1 doesn't make any profit at all, why are we only focused on the 1 instead of the broad scope of it and what the actual total brings you in margin?
Yeah.
So I challenge business owners, especially in this space, to know their margins, know where they need to be.
Right. Exactly. So how do you balance speed, quality, and profitability?
That's good too. Through good systems, we built a good communication system, but we also have technology tools. We have mobile apps. We have everything. We can get all the information real time, right?
Right.
But through good processes, you have to sit down, and if you're struggling with it, is like I say this all the time. There's probably a lot of folks that watch your podcast, Joseph, that I would say are maybe what I would call, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but Chuck's in a truck. It's one guy. He's a handyman type of a guy. He's got his truck. He goes out and does work for people and everything like that. But he's growing and he's having a hard time answering the phone, getting the appointment set, and all that. I will tell you that they're looking at it and going, can I afford to expand and get an office staff member or get a virtual assistant to help me?
Yeah.
Well, you can't afford not to. And here's why. Because your business is only going to grow for as far or as much as you personally can do.
Yeah.
And if it sounds like, in that scenario, it sounds like Chuck in the truck is getting tapped out, right? So that's the biggest thing, is to be able to do that. So
Yeah. No, and that's a tough one. If you could eliminate one cost or waste point overnight, what would it be?
Oh boy, that's a good question too. Oh man, I'm gonna say this is there are, if I could get rid of one waste point, it would be. Oh man, that is a good question. It would be for us and our company. It would be this. It would be to cut away the middleman in some cases.
Yeah.
It's always better to go directly to the manufacturer or go directly to the individual. So I feel like having to go to a Home Depot or whatever is wasteful. I would love to be able to have it all warehouse because we're so spread out we can't do that. If I could cut that out and I had it to where I could just go to a shelf real easy. I'm gonna buy this all day long, right? And I just had that at my disposal. I would do that. It would speed our process up. But that's not always feasible.
Right.
That's one point that I would love to change.
Gotcha. Good. So, how is technology currently used in your business? Scheduling, dispatch, reporting, or customer communication?
All the above. So we absolutely we have an operating system. I call it an operating system. It's a cloud-based system that we pay a monthly fee for that we have been utilizing since 2013, where the technician that goes out into the field has a mobile application. He could take photos. Has a bid section where he could take and he could put his estimate in, a completion section for work that he already did. But then also internally, it has a CRM built into it. We've used this system for a very, very long time and I can tell you, Joseph, there is no way we could run this business without it. There's no way.
Yeah.
So having that good system. Also, we utilize ChatGPT. We utilize other AI technologies. If you're not using AI technologies, and you're a little intimidated by it, I got to tell you that it is a great assist tool that we have found to be very, very optimal for us. On top of that, that AI technology that we're utilizing, we're also finding out we're able to incorporate that into some other sides of our business, and organizationally, it has really improved us.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, I use AI all the time too. So where do you see AI having the biggest impact in property maintenance?
Assisting with estimating. We also own an excavation company, and we do construction, excavation services, septics, things like that. Reason I say that is because I also estimate all the time, not just my internal staff that I have or our bids team does. I also do estimating. And the utilization of AI technology to assist in that. How about just cleaning it up, making it look nice? Okay. I urge contractors, look, you're really good at your service. You're really good at that service that you provide to somebody. Like if you're a window installer and you can smoke windows, make me look like a fool installing a window, right? But maybe you're not as good as putting together a presentation or putting together an estimate that somebody's going to look at. Man, utilize ChatGPT, put it in there, have your estimate all wrote out and tweak it as you go. Read through it, make sure it's spelled right and everything. But I tell you, it will make presentations and things for you. It is a great tool. Now, to say that we're going to use AI technology to replace people, yes, but we all knew that already. They've been preaching to us for years, Joe. The joke of that robots were going to be replacing us anyway. But here's the thing, is that there's still a human element to everything. Yeah. AI is only as good as the human that is asking the questions of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And yes, like you said, AI can replace people, but it certainly, like you said, can enhance a person's position, which then enhances the company, right? Like, for sure, I'm more productive. I get a lot more done using an AI assistant, that's for sure. So if AI could give you perfect visibility into one part of your operation, what would you choose?
Cost. Operational costs. To where that AI can track and grab where those that operational cost. You know, for me, years ago, Joseph, I used to be the doer. I used to be the guy on the truck going out and doing the work. I did that for 7 years. Then the company started growing, and here I was just, I don't have a college education. I didn't go to college. I didn't. I went to work.
Yeah.
And then my dad taught me how to work hard, and then I learned how to manage people, and I used some common sense and things like that. But my point is that I looked at that, and it just, it's a lot. There's just so much responsibility as a person that's that's in this seat, right? And I just take that. I just take that really, really personal on how I want that to be portrayed.
So, what major shifts are you seeing in the property maintenance space right now?
I talked about it a little bit before. For us, because we are so single family rental, and the rental, President Trump just said that he wants to stop institutionals from being able to purchase single family homes. But I also think that that's the president using that as some leverage to start a conversation. Okay? So, there are so many challenges that are out here and the differences that you're seeing, but the biggest for us in this industry is the possibility of that investor not being able to invest. See, I firmly believe that in this country, you've got homeowners and you've got renters, and renters are always going to be renters, and owners are always going to be owners. I don't personally want to rent a home. I don't. I see it as an investment. But there are some people that look at it as not as an investment. They look at it as something they have to continue to maintain. They have to continue. Why would I not let somebody else take all that, then take my extra money that I have that I was going to spend on repairs and maintenance costs, and I take and I invest that into the stock market, my 401k, or an IRA, whatever it is, and let that give me a rate of return. So there's two sides to that story, right? The American dream was always to own a home. Well, not everybody wants to do that. And rental companies and rental investors and property management companies and real estate agents that do this, we provide an awesome service to folks. Safe, clean, and secure homes to live in good neighborhoods with good schools. And I feel like that is the most important thing. The challenge is getting politicians and lobbyists in Washington, D.C. to understand that, because the narrative is that you get the news story. The hot news story is so-and-so owns a house on so-and-so street, and they're not doing what they're supposed to take care of that home, but you're only hearing one side of the story from the tenant, everything like that. They're not seeing all the good that's being put in there. The hundreds of thousands of jobs. So why am I making that, like, for us and what we do, it's huge. But in any maintenance situation, I believe, tenant occupied, or if it's just you're working for the Josephs or the Johns of the world, it's the same. Your customer base, you have to learn what that customer base is. So the biggest challenge is to be fluid in between the ups and the downs. You've got to be, if you're rigid, it's going to be really hard to be successful.
What does future ready look like for your company?
Currently, we are in, I'm counting them because I just think it would be kind of redundant to name them, but I will. We currently do work in the states of Missouri, Texas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Kentucky, Georgia, and Florida. We are looking at expanding into the Carolinas and going into the state of Oklahoma this year. We are also ramping up. I'm excited to say on this podcast that we're this week alone we've actually added 3 team members, internal team members to our team. I'm real excited to be able to start hiring people again and get the ball moving in the right direction. But what our kind of like our motto as a company is to do the next right thing. So for the future, I'm gonna say this: I'm a God-fearing man. I'm a Christian. I try to do what's right in the world, and I can tell you that right now, whatever God's got in store for us, because He's kind of leading us, and I give all glory to Him. Without Him, none of this is even possible. So kind of wherever he needs me to go is what I'm going to do. But we're going to continue to offer value added services to our customers and to treat their tenants and their investments as they matter because they do.
Gotcha. That's excellent. All right, Patrick, this has been a great conversation. From building a trusted family owned business to navigating growth, financial realities, and the future of technology and property maintenance. For those listening, if you're in property management, real estate, or service based businesses, there's a lot to learn from Patrick's journey in Shamrock Property Maintenance. Patrick, again, thanks a lot. I really appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I wish you the best of luck. And we'll talk soon.
Gotcha. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in to the Business Exchange, where we explore the people's ideas and innovation shaping industry and redefining the future. We'll see you next time.